Welcome to a candidate forum featuring candidates for Sacramento County Board of Supervisors, District 3. I'm Paula Lee, a member of the League of Women Voters of Sacramento County, and I'll be the moderator for today's forum. This forum is sponsored by the Sacramento League of Women Voters and the Sacramento Metropolitan Cable Television Commission. It's being viewed by a live cable television audience at home, and it's also being taped for rebroadcast on Metro Cable Channel 14. The League of Women Voters is a nonpartisan, nonprofit organization. Our mission is to encourage the informed and the active participation of citizens in government. We do not support or oppose political candidates or political parties, any candidate. We do not evaluate candidates, but we do, after careful study, take positions on issues of public policy and ballot measures. The format for today's forum will be as follows. Each candidate will make a 1 to 2 minute opening. Then the candidates will have 1 to 2 minutes to respond to each question. Finally, the candidates will have 1 minute to make a closing statement. We have a timer sitting right there, and I just advised the candidates. She will be holding up those signs, so please look for them. And when you see the stop, please stop. Now I'd like to introduce the candidates who are running for Sacramento County Board of Supervisors, District 3. On my right, Shaun Dillon, and on my left, Susan Peters. Welcome, candidates, and thank you very much for participating in today's forum. We'll begin with opening statements. Susan Peters.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. I want to thank the League of Women Voters and Metro Cable for this opportunity this morning. Everybody had to get up early to get here, and I appreciate it. As county supervisors, I have always been proactive in addressing county problems, and I'd like to provide some examples. When new issues have emerged we suburban residents hadn't faced before, like marijuana dispensaries, panhandling, nuisance recycling centers, and abandoned shopping carts, I led the effort to have the county update and add new ordinances to address these problems. To spur economic development, I pushed to update the county's development code and streamline our permitting processes. Now we're seeing businesses investing in our neighborhoods, creating jobs with new development, and revitalizing old shopping centers like How About Arden and Milagro Center in Carmichael. Public safety has always been my #1 budget priority, which has resulted recently in adding 86 sheriff deputies, increasing the number of park rangers patrolling the American River Parkway, and adding several community prosecutors. While road maintenance is a problem on both state and local level, I've emphasized paving our major roads based on volume and usage. For residential streets, I was instrumental in getting utilities to cost share with the county to pay for paving when they tear up our streets for utility work. Plus, we've added 311 recently, where residents can report potholes to the Department of Transportation so that they can quickly repair the potholes and respond quickly. I'm proud of my record. I think that's why voters have re-elected me, and I hope to have their support again this June. Thank you.
Shaun Dillon.
Okay, good morning, everyone. I'm glad that everybody's here today to witness this forum, to learn a little bit about the issues in the district. I want to thank the League of Women Voters and Metro Cable 14 for hosting it. So as I said, my name is Shaun Dillon, and I'm a candidate for the County Board of Supervisors, and I am the progressive candidate in the race. Progressive because I believe it's time that we progress beyond the crime, the poverty, and the blight that's come to define our communities. Every day we drive along pothole-ridden roads, past vacant businesses, past abandoned shopping carts, and the homeless. And little seems to be done to improve it. For me, I think the focus needs to be back on improving the representation, the community, and the economy of Sacramento County, addressing these issues directly and getting them resolved to improve the quality of life. So this June, I encourage everybody who wants to make some progress in the county to vote for me. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we'll begin with you. Susan Peters, what are some of your ideas for solving the camping problem along the American River Parkway? And please be specific.
Last year, we started at the county a program to remove illegal campers from the American River Parkway. It took most of $1 million to do it. We are working with our Sheriff's Department and the city police as they're moving through the camps. We also had to remove the homeless and the campers, and we also discovered we had a lot of fires started on the parkway, and we've been very proactive in removing brush from the parkway so that it would reduce the fire damage. I worked with residents along the side of the river. Several of them had fires that damaged their properties, and so we've had goats out on the property, removing the brush, and I think we've done a pretty good job of that.
Shaun Dillon?
Homelessness is a county-wide problem, not just limited to the American River Parkway. Now we need to address it holistically. We can't just keep spending money driving the homeless out of the parkway, driving them back in, driving them around our communities. What we need to do is focus on housing, provide them housing and the supportive services necessary to help transition them into an independent living situation. A lot of homeless suffer from mental illness, suffer from substance abuse problems, and are domestic violence victims. They're on the street through no fault of their own. What we need to do is support them, stabilize the housing, get them off the streets, treat them, and then transition them successfully off the streets. And that's the only way we're really going to successfully address the illegal camping in the American River Parkway, not by sending the sheriff and the park rangers in continuously.
And sticking with this subject, are you in favor of a tent city? And if so, where should it be? Would you support one in your district?
I believe they do need some sort of housing right now. I would be supportive of a tent city until we got more permanent housing built. I would be supportive of it in my district. As for the exact location, that would be something we'd have to look at and determine. But I'm sure there are plenty of available locations that are good and are useful. One thing I can think of is maybe a portion of Cal Expo. It's centralized to services and centralized in the county.
Susan Peters, are you in favor of a tent city?
No, I am not in favor. I am not in favor of a tent city. I think it heads in the absolute opposite direction that we have been going the last few years. We need permanent supportive housing for homeless. We're short many, many units. We've done pretty well on short-term stays for people who just need a boost for a week or two to get themselves on their feet. But I think tent cities just is very regressive in the progress that we have made.
Let me ask you both. Shaun Dillon, how would you suggest housing the homeless and specifically the mentally ill?
Well, first we have to ensure that we have adequate funding for mental health services. And while the county has made good progress in restoring funding, we still haven't reached a point where it's going to be successful in alleviating the mental illness problem. There were drastic cuts in 2007 and 2008, and those cuts haven't been fully restored. And that's part of the problem why we have such a large homeless population today suffering from mental illness. They're transported to local emergency rooms, released, and they're walking around. So for that, one good model that I've seen is the Salt Lake City model, where they have small housing that they've built that people, homeless, can actually be put into where they can live. I think a model like that to proceed beyond tent city would be a good thing to look at here. Have small, studio cottages, basic bathroom, basic kitchen facilities in a little village where we can have medical services, mental health services, all concentrated right there. So we can successfully treat them, then transition them out to an independent situation.
And Susan Peters, what ideas do you have for housing the homeless and mentally ill, and what about funding?
Well, first let me say I agree it's a very difficult problem. It affects people across the spectrum. We've got people who are mentally ill, we have criminals, we have people with substance abuse. A lot of young people are homeless now, and you've got some element of society that's always been transient. So it's quite a variety of people, and it takes a lot of different ways to approach it. The county spends in excess of $40 million a year on dealing with the homeless problems, and that's from housing to security services to mental illness. It's primarily mental illness that the county spends their money on. And definitely during the recession, when the state funding slowed down so much, we were unable to do much for the mentally ill, and the hospitals filled up. But now that has changed. The county has been adding psychiatric centers to help a place for the homeless to be located. We've partnered with the city of Sacramento in hiring Sacramento Steps Forward. We'd like their Navigator program, where they embed with sheriff's deputies and police officers and go out and talk to the homeless one-on-one. And they've had some success in that. And that's why I'm not for tent cities, is because I think I'd like to see this program work through and determine whether it's actually going to help us.
Thank you. Different topic. Susan Peters. What ideas would you support for enhancing light rail and all public transit usage for commuters and students?
Well, I think first, I'm not on the Regional Transit Board, so I don't know all of the issues there, but from an outsider's observation, I think RT has to get its house in order and spend money on a program that they can afford. I think that the RT Board is dedicated to doing that. They have the opportunity now to hire a new executive, possibly several new executives, and look at it from a different angle. RT doesn't support District 3 very much. It has a few buses a day on major routes. It's not very easy to get to light rail from the district, just because it's in the center of the county, and the light rail is more to the outside of my district. And so a little bit of money might help to help the new executive turn the place around. It needs, first of all, the buses and light rail need to be clean, they need to be safe, and then I think you'll attract more people back to it. And I've been on the lead in helping get the new Measure B in front of the cities to see whether they'd like to put it on the ballot, and that gives quite a bit of money, several $100 million, to RT, which should help with their problems.
Shaun Dillon.
So RT is a big problem in District 3. You got buses that are running about 30% late at a time. They're dirty and they're not safe. I think RT needs to address these issues first. I believe they do have the funding that they need to do this, because it's basic services. And I am actually opposed to the fare increase that did pass. I think it disproportionately hits the hardest, lowest income people hardest. As for the light rail suffers from the same problem. What we need to do is have transit officers on the trains checking tickets. We need to improve the fare box recovery. When you have an absentee rate of 25 to 30% each month of transit officers that check fares and check tickets on trains, that's a little bit excessive. So throwing more money at the problem, I don't think is the solution. I think they just need to focus more on managing the RT business better. I think that starts with the actual RT board overseeing the executives and what they're doing. For Measure B, I'm opposed to Measure B. I think it's just another money grab, that we won't see any improvements really in the county where we need them. We won't see new roads paved. We won't see RT improved. We'll just see money dumped in, and then we'll just see another tax increase in another 20 or 30 years when we need more money.
Thank you. Shaun Dillon. Where do you stand on the 5,700-acre urban service boundary expansion proposed for North Natomas that would create a new community of approximately 55,000 people?
I am completely opposed to it. We don't have the infrastructure. We have plenty of vacant, unfilled, and underutilized parcels within the county service boundary now that we can build on. We don't need to expand right now. We don't need to expand that boundary. And as I said, I'm completely opposed to that expansion.
Are there development projects that you would support?
Outside the urban services boundary, no. I'd support projects that were within the current boundaries, within the district, and within the current county areas, where there are vacant lots, where the infrastructure is already built, where the people are already there. We don't need to build 55,000 new homes out in the corner of the county, put all those people on the roadways that are already congested, and have them driving around. Not to mention we have a water issue right now. We're in a drought. 55,000 new homes in a different part of the county isn't going to help that one bit.
Susan Peters. Would you like me to repeat that
Yes,
question?
please.
Yes. Where do you stand on the 5,700-acre urban service boundary expansion proposed for North Natomas that would create a community of approximately 55,000 people?
Well, first of all, it has not been in front of us to approve or deny. It's in the process of environmental review, and that will give us information to determine what we want to do with the project. As to project outside the urban services boundary, I don't know of any that are coming before us, and that would take a rigorous exercise in determining information that would make it worthwhile. But most of the projects in front of us that are going to come in front of us the next few years are within the urban services boundary.
Okay. And back to the issue of mental illness, as you said, the county spends quite a bit of money in that area. And untreated mental illness is amongst homeless people, as well as other populations, is such a huge problem. Wondering if you would support Laura's Law. Laura's Law would allow a judge to compel outpatient mental health treatment for individuals with certain violent or psychotic episodes, or people with criminal backgrounds.
That issue has not been in front of the board, and I think we've got a long way to go in providing other mental health services to the many more people who are on the streets with it and are filling our hospitals. So I don't have any opinion on Laura's Law.
Shaun Dillon?
I would support Laura's Law. You have people suffering from mental illness that might not be able to make the best decisions after suffering violent psychotic episodes. It's our duty to help them out and get them into treatment, to get them stabilized back into a position where they can make good decisions that benefit them and benefit the community. It doesn't make any sense to go out and respond with sheriff's deputies, take them to jail and lock them up. That's not the treatment they need. They need basic mental health treatment to get normalized and to be able to succeed on their own individually again.
Thank you. Back to transportation, just being a little more specific, would you support, as far as funding, more public transportation funding or building more roads?
I'm against building more roads. I think we need to take care of the roadways we have now. We have 5,200 miles of roadways. Most of them are pothole ridden. If we can't maintain those, why are we going to build more? It's just more that we can't maintain. I'd be more supportive of funding public transit more, helping to lower the cost for low-income individuals, for seniors, and for students. The current rate increases hit them the hardest, and I think we need to reverse those and start looking at lowering fares even more. Right now we have one of the highest, most expensive transit systems in the country, and it's not one of the best. So until we get that discrepancy fixed, we got to look at addressing fare issues.
Susan?
District 3 is in a terrible condition on its roads. Countywide, we're about $465 million behind in repairing roads. I spend much of my time trying to find more transportation funding for the county. I'm on the SACOG board, I'm on the Transportation Committee of SACOG, I'm on the Sacramento Transportation Authority, in addition to the Board of Supervisors. And all of those organizations are working to fix the roads that we have. They call it Fix It First. And that is why the STA board is putting an issue on the ballot so the voters can decide if they want to tax themselves, like Measure A, to bring in money to repair the roads. Personally, I would get our roads that we have already in place in good shape before we spend any more money on new roads, unless it's paid for by development. In that particular ballot measure, RT gets 30% of the money, and RT runs on our roads that are already in place. So I think if 91% of the voters agree in the polling that we did that the roads need to be repaired first. So that's what I'm aimed at.
Thank you. Well, it's time for closing remarks. So we'll begin with Shaun Dillon.
Yeah, as I said, I'm the progressive candidate for the County Board of Supervisors, District 3. I believe it's time that we progress beyond the crime, the poverty, and the blight that has come to define our communities. We do that by improving our representation, improving our economy, and improving our community. I invite everybody to check out my website, ShaunDillon.com, to learn a little bit about my positions. I hope to have your support this June 7th.
Susan Peters.
Thank you. Thanks again to the League of Women Voters and Metro Cable for the opportunity this morning to be here. My record and approach as county supervisors has always been and will continue to be proactive, addressing problems while exercising fiscal responsibility by watching the bottom line for taxpayers. Public safety is my #1 budget priority, and I'm proud to have the endorsement of Sheriff Scott Jones, District Attorney Anne Marie Schubert, and former Sheriff John McGinnis. I will continue to watch out for suburban residents and seek solution when new issues emerge, just as I have while passing ordinances previously on panhandling, nuisance recycling centers, and abandoned shopping carts. I want to continue the success we're seeing with new development in our neighborhoods, like revitalization of the older neighborhoods, older shopping centers like How About Arden and Milagro Center. I'll continue to emphasize paving more roads to improve our transportation system. Please check my record at joinsusan.com. I appreciate the community's support in the past elections, and I hope to have your support again this June. Thank you.
Thank you. And on behalf of the League of Women Voters of Sacramento County and the Sacramento Metropolitan Cable Television Commission, I want to thank both of you for running for public office and being part of this forum. I want to thank all the volunteers who made the forum possible. I want to let those of you in the audience and those of you at home know that the League of Women Voters has a terrific one-stop source for voter information on candidates, on ballot measures, on how to register to vote, on your own customized ballot, where your polling place is. Everything you'd want to know is at votersedge.org, votersedge.org/CA. The League of Women Voters website is lwvsacramento.org. And the League welcomes both men and women as members, and the League is where hands-on work to safeguard democracy leads to civic improvement. Be sure and vote June 7th and help make democracy work. Thank you.
Thanks, Paula.
Thanks.